Hi, everybody. My name is Chanel Edwards. I'm here to teach you marketing. I'm so sorry that I was not able to physically be there. I do apologize, but I cannot wait to see y'all next week when I'm talking to you guys about social media and how it pertains to work and employment. But today we're going to talk about marketing. I love marketing, and I believe that marketing is a great way to promote yourself and put yourself out there, and to get yourself in front of the right people and land you the right gigs, the right jobs. And so I hope that you leave with valuable information, and I hope that everything that I have to say with you sticks and you take it and you are successful with this information. So we're going to talk about marketing and how it pertains to landing you a job. It is so important to know how to market yourself, what tools you need, and why you're doing it. When you market yourself, you're selling yourself to that hiring manager. You're selling yourself to that potential employer. And it's important for you to have a marketing strategy plan, and we're going to develop that now. In this particular packet, you guys will find the PowerPoint presentation, and you will also find links, and you will also find helpful tools to use. So let's get started. Marketing, how to market you. So let's do a checklist on the things that we're going to be working on today. Number one, a self-assessment. We're going to learn how to use self-assessment as a tool of marketing, charting our pros and our cons, weighing them down, and knowing what to say and what not to say, and how many pros to use and how many cons to use when you are bringing that up in a conversation with the hiring manager. Number two, the 60-second pitch. How to sell yourself. I believe in doing it in 60 seconds. Some people need a little bit more time, but always keep it under 2 minutes. Try to do it 2 minutes or less. If you can do it in 30 seconds, you are amazing. If you can't, try to do it within the 60 seconds. I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta keep bringing this out of my face. Number three, how to move yourself to the top of the list. I'm going to give you some helpful tools and some helpful marketing tools that will help you move above those people that you are trying to outbeat for that position, and to get you in the forefront for the running of that position that you're going for. So I'm going to give you some very powerful tools that I have found very successful. Those people that I have encouraged to use these tools have found them very successful. And last, presenting skills in the best light, stepping out of your comfort zone. I'm going to just give you some basic tools on how to make sure that things go smoothly when you are in that chair and you're being interviewed and you're marketing yourself. What you can use to make sure that your marketing is going well and that you're not going to forget or stumble over anything, and you're going to pitch yourself well and hopefully land you either that second interview or get you that job. Let's get started. All right, let's get started with the self-assessment. Self-assessment is usually going to be used for that good old question, that interview question that they always hit you with. What are your strengths and weaknesses? You always hear them say that in an interview. If you've interviewed a lot, you're going to get that. You're not going to miss it. Somebody's going to ask you, what are your strengths and weaknesses? You want to be ready for that particular question. You don't want to have to stumble or think about it. So let's do a chart. What I like to do, I'm a visual person. I always have to write things out. I try to write out at least 5 pros and then 5 cons. And then I narrow down my pros to 3 and my cons to 1. You want to obviously focus on the good, so you want to have 3 great things about yourself and 1 negative things. And I'll talk to you why it's important for you to be honest about your cons. Okay, so let's just focus on the pros. The pros are your strengths. Okay, what makes you stand out from the other applicants. So think outside the box when you're thinking about your pros, when you think about your strengths, and try to stay away from those commonly used strengths. Everybody says the same thing. I'm a hard worker. I'm a multitasker. I'm a good listener. I was a hiring manager for a number of years, so I know people use it, and they use it all the time, those particular strengths. Try to be creative with it, because you want to separate yourself and from everyone else, and you want to make yourself stand out. So try to think of creative strengths And be sure to give examples of your strengths in case you're asked to elaborate. So I'm going to give you an example, okay? Example. So instead of saying I'm a good listener, you could say I'm an active listener. So you're not saying I'm a good listener, you're saying I'm an active listener. Okay, it's a difference. When I'm involved in a conversation, I actively listen to the person that is speaking to me. And at the end of the conversation, I like to reiterate what was just said so that I can make sure that I have a clear understanding. You see, I'm giving you an example with my strength. That way you can see that I have a creative strength with a great example that follows behind it. Never forget to mention these strengths. I listed them on the documents for you. Your level of experience, education, degree or certification, whether you're bilingual, if you speak 2 different languages, or if you sign, go ahead and use that. Do you serve in the military? Have you ever served in the military? Because sometimes people look at the military being as a positive because, they feel that you have additional training. Do you have any recognitions or awards from work or any other places? Have you received accolades from anyone else that can say that you're an outstanding individual? Use that, and don't forget to use that as a strength, because that is an amazing strength. If you're going to use that you're bilingual, be bilingual. Okay? Don't say you bilingual when you only know hola or adios. That is not being bilingual. You do not want to get caught up in some little lie when you get the job and somebody's coming in and speaking Spanish and they call you to do it, to translate, and you can't. Don't embarrass yourself. Be honest. If you're just beginning with Spanish, let them know. If you're like me, I've taken Spanish for a number of years. I can actually read Spanish very well, but I've never been confident in speaking it. I tell them that, well, I let them know I am not, comfortable with translating. However, I can actually read Spanish and maybe be able to help with just a little bit of communication between a customer or a patient. But I tell them up front my level of my bilingual skills. If you want to do it that way, that's cool. But don't lie and say you speak Spanish or you speak another language and you can only say 2 words. That is not okay, and you're going to embarrass yourself. Let's talk about the cons, okay? Remember, you always want to assess your cons. People all the time want to try to dance around the cons. Don't, because it's not okay. It's not a good thing to do, especially with a hiring manager. No one is perfect. We don't expect you to be perfect, so we are waiting for you to be upfront and let us know what things that you want to work on. But these are possible setbacks. But again, these are things that you're willing to work on. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. So don't tell an employer that you have no weaknesses, because the last thing you want to do is say you have no weaknesses or you have no cons. You do everything so well and you get on the job and you have a hard time typing. Well, I would have liked to have known that when I was interviewing you. But only remember that you want to pick the very minute weakness. That means you want to pick a very small weakness, but you want to tell that you have a weakness. Don't go in there and say you don't. So you want to pick a very small weakness. But when you pick a weakness, you want to make sure that you have a positive solution on how you would turn that weakness into a positive, into a strength. And only elaborate on that weakness if you're asked. For example, if a hiring manager says, tell me about a weakness, you could simply say, well, my weakness is that I'm not bilingual. However, I'm currently enrolled in Saturday schools, Spanish classes, and I purchased Rosetta Stone. I'm hoping to be able to have a full-fledged conversation and be at least in the intermediate level of Spanish speaking by the end of the year. Very confident because I'm working hard on that goal. Do you see how I turn my weakness into a positive? But it's still a weakness, and I'm being upfront. Stay away from cons such as I'm a perfectionist. This is what I consider a safe con, a safe weakness. Everybody says that. I've heard that so many times when I was a hiring manager. I'm a perfectionist. Like, I think people just usually say it because they feel like it's not so bad and it's actually going to be considered a good thing. So saying you're a perfectionist is not, it's a safe negative. It's a safe con. It's just not something that I would like to hear as a hiring manager. I want you to be more creative than that. You can say you're a perfectionist, and in my mind, I could think, oh my gosh, a perfectionist? That means somebody that's going to take a long time to complete a task because they're too busy about worrying about if it's right or wrong, or if they're doing a great job or not, or if it's perfect. You're going to be slow. You're going to be afraid to think outside of the box because you don't want to be wrong. So a perfectionist is really a true strong negative, and you don't want to say that. Be more creative and really think about a con before you speak it out, because you want to make sure that no one is perceiving it wrong. um, so the bilingual thing is a good example, and you know, if you want to say that you're a perfectionist, figure out a way to turn that negative into a positive. Okay, so we talked about our pros and our cons. We did our self-assessments. We weighed it out. We narrowed down to 3 strengths, 1 weakness, with an example of how we're trying to turn that weakness into a strength. So let's move on. Oh, before we move on, I want to remind you, the next page after this particular bulletin points on the PowerPoint presentation will be, it should be an attachment 1. On that attachment, it's a list of strengths, commonly used strengths, but they're really good strengths. And so you could pick 3 of those and just be able to come up with some creative examples in case you're asked to elaborate. So use those as a wonderful marketing tool, okay? So let's go on to our 60-second pitch. I like to call it my personal commercial. This is how you're going to sell yourself. When you have landed that interview, you should have all the confidence in the world, because you landed that interview. Do you know how many people are applying for that position? Do you know how many resumes they have to go through to narrow it down to getting people like you in for an interview? You have definitely jumped over a hurdle and you are almost at the finish line. So be proud of yourself and go in there with confidence. And the way you can go in there with confidence is creating your 60-second pitch. Some people can't do a 60-second pitch. Some people can have to have a little bit longer. Stay under 2 minutes. You do not want to go over 2 minutes, because you don't want to rant on and on about yourself. Nobody wants to listen to you rant about yourself, and especially a hiring manager. I have your resume. I have, you know, asked you different interview questions. So your 60-second pitch should just be straight to the point, and it should go really, really smooth, okay? Your commercial should tell the hiring manager just bulletin points about yourself. It should be a brief biography that conveys your career choice, your knowledge and skills, your strengths and abilities, and your experiences that will uniquely qualify you for that position. It should include your interest in the targeted position that you're applying for and your skill sets, okay? But do not include any personal information. You never want to go in there talking about your personal life, because even though they might be laughing and smiling and talking with you while you're talking about the kids, oh, you got to pick up that baby from daycare, or, oh, trust me, I've had some crazy people that came in and interviewed with me, and I heard their whole life story, how they, you know, overcame obstacles and was, you know, had tremendous life-changing events. And kudos for, you know, overcoming them obstacles. But as a hiring manager, you want to get straight to the point with the applicant, because you have other people that you got to interview. So stay away from personal information. And personally, I would like to stay away from personal information, because I don't want to give you an opportunity to judge me. I don't want to give you any leeway of using that against me, as a judgment against me. So do not include personal information such as marital status, hobbies, children, you know, anything that you feel is just too personal, and they don't need to be all up in your business. You're here to apply for a job. They don't need to know, you know, you're trying to get out your mama's house. You know, they don't need to know all that. Simply stay professional and keep it straight to the point about the position. And I say that with all love, because I don't want you to be judged. And even though people will smile and they'll be like, oh, what a touching story, while they're interviewing you, you'll leave and they're like, oh, she's got too much drama. He's got too much drama. I don't want to hire him. So stay away from personal information. Elements of personal commercial should include introductory sentence, which is you're going to start with their strongest points. Your experience, mention any relevant jobs, internships, or volunteer work. Education, mention what degree, diploma, or anything that you're working on. Even if you're still in school and you're working on that, you want to mention that because you're furthering your education. If you got any certifications, mention that. Technical skills, include any background areas that you have worked on that is specific for that particular position, majors or anything like that. Personal skills, include 2 or 3 of your personal strengths that are relevant to your jobs. That's where the assessment comes in. That's where the pros come in. You want to include 2 or 3 personal strengths. And then a closing statement. You want to express your interest in the position. There are so many times that people go and apply and they never really express their interest in their position. They express that they need a job. I don't want to hear that you need a job. I want to hear, why do you want to apply for this position? What is it about us and our company? I encourage you, when you're going out for a position, do your research on that company. Know who you're applying for. Know who you're interviewing with. Do your research on that company, because in your closing statement, you can add some valuable information that or add a little tidbit about the company of why you want to be hired by them. That is going to definitely market you and put you up above other people because you took the time out to really try to learn the company that you're applying for. So make sure you do your research. I don't care if you're going out for Burger King. Know what their product is. Know what kind of burgers they make. What kind of shakes is on sale. What's their specials. I don't care what you're applying for. Try to learn that particular company and use that in your closing statement and express your interest. It's okay to tell them, hey, I really would love this opportunity to work in this establishment because I know that you guys have a 100% customer service ratings. I did my research on Angie's List, and I saw that your customers rate you 100% out of your competitors. It's okay to let them know how you really would like to be employed by them. I've attached my 60-second commercial, and I'll go ahead and recite it for you. You want to make sure that you try to memorize it somewhat, but at least memorize some of the key elements from your 60-second commercial, and make sure that it runs smoothly. So don't forget to mention the key elements that I discussed previously. Just incorporate it in your 60-second. Write it out and then definitely type it up because you want to make sure that you can have it and you're able to read it and you're able to go over and over again. It is a pitch. It's a script. You want to kind of memorize it. So I'll give you my 60-second pitch. I've always tried to be a benevolent person. I admire those who are, and this is why I desire to work in the healthcare profession. I'm a graduate from MTI College in Sacramento, California, with a diploma and certificate in medical assisting and phlebotomy, with training in medical billing. My first patient was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. My job was to manage all aspects of her personal care. Although reading to her and doing her hair and nails were not part of my job description, I asked my supervisor and her family if I could volunteer those services. I have enjoyed caring for hospice patients and elderly. I've also worked for a chiropractic and ophthalmology office, working the front and back and doing medical billing. Having had previous work as a manager, administrative assistant, and customer service rep, it has given me the ability to achieve excellent customer service and administrative skills. I take my position in a company serious with much pride and appreciation. I believe in hard work and doing an excellent proficient job, as well as keeping a positive and pleasant attitude in all situations. Doing a great job and being successful in a company includes being at work on time and when scheduled. I'm excited to have an opportunity to work in your establishment. In my 30-second pitch, I was able to convey to you my experience, my passion, and my desire. And that's what your 30-second pitch should be about. moving forward, let's see. All right. So, how to move yourself to the top of the list. The way to do that is having the right marketing tools, and that is the key. So, you've done your assessments, you've done your 60-second pitch. Now it's time for you to create a portfolio. It is so, to me, important to have a portfolio. I think a portfolio is a dynamic tool when it comes to marketing yourself for anything when it comes to business or landing a job. I use a portfolio constantly. You don't have to spend too much money to create a portfolio. You can work well within a budget to have a nice portfolio. In fact, Walmart has portfolios starting at $7 on up to $40. It's all within your budget. I've seen portfolios done in binders. I've seen people just have regular folders as portfolios. This is my particular portfolio. I hope you can see it. Let me see if you can see it. This is my portfolio. I keep the front cover blank because it depends on what kind of client I'm going to be visiting or what kind of job I'm going for. And when I go out, I normally have a title here. At the top, if you can see, these are tabs. I keep tabs so that it's easy for me to go directly to the page that I need to go to. Inside, and this is kind of old, but inside, I'm hitting myself in the face. Inside, I have a table of contents. And as you can see, it's protected by sheet covers. Altogether, I think I paid about $13 total for my portfolio with the sheet covers. And I used beautiful paper. I'm trying to see if I can pull it out for you. Resume paper, just from our portfolio. This is my medical assistant portfolio. So inside here, I have an award that I've won. Sorry, there's loose papers. So inside, I have an award that I've won. I keep my awards. I keep samples of my work, my documents that I create, memos, and my administrative work, flyers that I've created. When it comes to my medical assisting, I have EKG samples that I use, that I am in the EKG tech. So portfolio is so important to have. It's a great marketing tool, and it definitely makes you stand out. Let me explain to you why. Let's go into that. Let's go into the details about what a portfolio is and why it's so important to use it. And so a portfolio, again, it could be a small binder, it could be a folder, it could be I've seen people have big, huge portfolios. It's all up to you and your finances and how you want to do it, and how much time and effort you're going to be willing to put into your portfolio. But it will showcase your abilities and qualities. A portfolio is not just for you to show off to the hiring manager, but it's really, honestly, a great tool for you to use, for you to be able to get to the items that you want to explain or show quickly, and you're in an organized way. So I think that having a portfolio is just a dynamic tool. It's a great marketing tool to use. I've attached a sheet for you so that you can have a structure of how to set up your portfolio, and we'll go over that particular sheet. I'll break down things for you right now so that you can see the importance of having it. Before I start with that, though, breaking down the structure of the portfolio, I want to just say one more thing about it. Because I use a portfolio all the time, and people that I have encouraged to use a portfolio, I have younger cousins who are job hunting and everything, and I've encouraged them to use their portfolio, and they do warehouse work, customer service stuff. I don't care. Get a portfolio because it's still professional. The good thing about having a portfolio is when you're waiting to be called in, you're there for the interview, you're waiting to be called in, guess what? You can go over stuff. You can have your 60-second pitch, your resume in there. You can have your you can have your references in case you haven't filled out the application already. You need to, you don't remember people's phone numbers. Don't pull out your phone. You have your portfolio, your references and stuff is all already in your portfolio. You could just use that. It's so professional to have, and it's a great tool for you, and it's a great reference guide for you. And when you're in there, You know, if they're asking you, have you ever wanted, you know, have you ever gotten any certificates or kudos at your last employers? Have your last employers ever given you any kudos or great reviews? Hey, I got my last review right here in my portfolio. It is so wonderful to have it, and since I've been using it, I have gotten, you know, very far, and I think it's a great tool. So let's do that. Let's break down um, the setup for your portfolio. Okay. Okay. So we're going to kind of break down the setup for the portfolio, which is also, you can find that in your attachment number 3. Your portfolio must include the following items. These are things that must go into your portfolio. These are musts. One, your resume. You want to have extra copies of your resume. Sometimes hiring managers will ask you for a copy of your resume. I know it's kind of crazy because you're like, you call me for an interview, you don't have a copy. I don't know what happens, but things happen. Just bring a couple of extra copies of your resume. It might be 1 or 2, 3 people. It might be a panel interviewing you, so you want to have extra copies for everybody. You want to have a cover letter, a thank you letter. Thank you letters, do not give a thank you letter out when you're done with the interview, but you do want to have a copy of that thank you letter so that when you're done, you can remember to go make a copy of it and hit that post office and mail it out to that person that interviewed you. um, References. You want to make sure that you have references. It's so important because you can go in there and you totally will forget because people's phone numbers, email addresses. You know, they ask you to list 3 personal references. You're like, oh my God, who can I use as a personal reference? Well, have that already taken care of and put that in your portfolio. Type it up, put it on a nice piece of paper, and put that in your portfolio. Examples of your best work should also go into your portfolio. Like I said, I keep everything in my portfolio. My EKGs, my um, uh, you know, if I'm, it depends on who I'm going for or what kind of customer, I mean, client or job or whatever. But I keep things specified for who I'm about to interview with. So if I'm going for administrative assistant position, I want to keep, like, if I've done Excel, I want to have some Excel spreadsheets. If I've done PowerPoint, I want to have a PowerPoint, maybe a PowerPoint presentation and stapled in there, and I can pull it out. Maybe I've done newsletters. Maybe I've done flyers as administrative assistant. I want to have anything in there that can show that I can do administrative skills. My typing certificate. You can go to a typing agency or you can go to the employment office, and sometimes they give you free typing tests. You can find out where they do typing tests and get you a typing certificate. Keep that in your portfolio. But you want to have great things in your portfolio. So let's, number one, you want to have a career, additional things besides those must items. Follows these are your career summary and goals. It's a description of what you stand for. So basically, what you're looking for. It's good to have it in there because, again, while you're waiting to be called, you can glance over it so that you can let it flow out of your mouth when you're being asked, well, you know, what are you looking for as an employee? Professional philosophy and mission statement. You know, my mission statement is you know, I believe in hard work and being an asset to a company. What is your mission statement? Go ahead and type that up and put that in your portfolio. Again, your resume, your skills and abilities, what makes you marketable, what are your good qualities, list your accomplishments. It's good to list that out because when you're being asked, you don't want to have to think off the top of your head. Don't be afraid to say, you know, I have a list of my qualities, and open that particular part up of your portfolio and show that particular list. And if you have the dates or the events that you know, you're listing your accomplishments, go ahead and put that there. Samples of your work. Can't express that enough. Have samples of your work. If it's administrative position, if it's customer service position, be able to show, you know, if you have some certificates. When I did customer service and I was working for Comcast, I always had kudos from different people, different customers, I'm sorry, my timer, employees, different things, co-workers, bosses. People would just give me different kudos. I saved all that from cards to emails, everything, and I use that in my portfolio. Research, publications, and reports. If you've ever been, you know, recognized on a newsletter or anything like that, Go ahead and put that into your portfolio. Testimonials and letters of recommendation. Always have 2 professional letters of recommendations. That is so important because you know, you can attach that to your application and your resume. Awards and honorees, any conferences and workshops that you've ever attended, go ahead and put that in because that can be used as additional training. This particular workshop, put that in there because that's like additional training, right? Transcript, degrees, licenses, and certifications. Definitely have that in there. Especially, you know, depending on the particular position. If it's calling for a degree or a certification, have that ready and accessible. Your military records and awards, again, that's always a great tool to have. Volunteering community service is so awesome because it just shows that outside of work, you're still an upstanding, wonderful citizen. And then your references list that I was mentioning to you early, or that's important for you to have so that you can be able to, when you fill out that application, be able to have something to glance at and fill out the application with accurate information, and you're not stumbling or you're not forgetting to list something. And then you can also, again, attach that to the application and your resume. So those are good things to have. A portfolio, again, is a dynamic tool to have. Take the time to really create one. I'm telling you, when you have your portfolio done and you go out and you're marketing yourself to the hiring manager that you're meeting with, and you're trying to sell yourself and you're pitching yourself, you're going to have so much confidence because guess what? You don't have to stumble. You don't even have to stumble. Everything is up in that portfolio. You don't have to stumble. They can ask you anything. Tell me about some certificates and some awards that you won. Oh, sure. In fact, I can tell you, I can show you some of the stuff I've won for my skills. I'm telling you, I'm an awesome customer service representative, and I have proof. Take the time to really create that portfolio. And again, it's not expensive. You can go to the 99-cent store and get a nice black binder. They have them. But just take the time to really put it together, and you will be very proud of yourself and so confident when you go in there. Man, that is an awesome marketing tool. Okay, so our next thing that we want to talk about is when it comes to how to move yourself to the top of the list. I believe in having business cards. I didn't believe in having a business card at first, especially when it came to just job searching. Now, I've been a business owner since I was 18, so I've always had a job and a business. That's just me, because I like to, you know, as a business owner, might not be able to afford that insurance. Now we can, huh? Now we can. But back before we had all this additional support, you know, I had a business and I had a part-time job because I wanted to have my health insurance. So I would go out for jobs and never thought about having a business card just for applying. But when I finished medical assisting school and phlebotomy school, a classmate of mine's, Nikita Williams, she had made little business cards. She had a business card for medical assisting, and then she had some blue business cards for phlebotomy. She had orange medical assisting cards and blue business cards for phlebotomy, and I just thought that was so cool. And she was literally got a bunch of callbacks when we were done with school. She took initiative to go ahead and do that. And you know what? Vistaprint has them on sale for $9.99. You can literally go ahead and get you 100 business cards for $9.99. And I think that's a great tool to use because it just shows that you're serious about the position that you're going for or the career choice that you're making. And she was serious. She wanted to be a medical assistant and she wanted to be a phlebotomist. And so she made sure that she had equipped herself with the tools that was necessary to get her in, you know, a second look. And so she got tons of callbacks for that. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you. Again, it's $9.99. If you can afford to do that, I say do that. Get your business card. I don't care if it's customer service. Get you a you know, excellent customer service representative with your name and your contact information on that card. It can't hurt to utilize that as another marketing tool. We are living in a time of social media, so that is another great marketing tool to have, is social media. I'm going to be teaching you guys next week about social media, so I won't go into too much depth with it, but I do want to encourage you to build a LinkedIn page. Why LinkedIn page? Because it is an online portfolio, not Facebook. Don't use Facebook. Lord, don't use Facebook. as don't even mention Facebook when you're applying. It's not a marketing tool, but your LinkedIn page definitely can be used as a marketing tool when you're going up in front of a hiring manager, because LinkedIn is so cool. I have provided a link for you guys to click on, and hopefully the instructor there for the day can click on that link for you, and you guys can navigate to see my LinkedIn page. You guys can do that after I finish the presentation. You'll see my LinkedIn page, and you'll see a picture of me. You'll see, you know, my businesses and career choices, my career path, a summary of how I got started. You'll see some of my previous works, like a resume. And another cool thing is that people who have done work with you or have seen your work can endorse you. That's like a reference right there. And so that's cool, because the more endorsements you get, the higher it ranks you on LinkedIn. So I love it, because you're seen by so many people. I have gotten so much work from LinkedIn. I am not kidding you. I've gotten so much work from LinkedIn. I definitely want to encourage you, create a LinkedIn online profile, because it is an online portfolio, and it can, you can, if you have done anything where, you know, or you know, I don't know if you a web designer, if you know, have something where you could put up there, you could put pictures, YouTubes, you could put samples of your work. This is really literally an online portfolio. Get a LinkedIn page. You'll get a unique LinkedIn identifier, so a LinkedIn link, and excuse me, and you can use that and put that on your resume. It is such a great marketing tool. Take the time to really create it. You don't have to do anything fancy immediately. You could take you know, it could take you several days or even a week to just slowly build it. But I encourage you to build yourself a LinkedIn page, because that is a great marketing tool, and definitely will be a great tool to use when you're going out for an appointment. Another thing that will have you stand out above everybody else is completing a completed application. Oh my goodness. That is like, people are so funny, because when they're filling out the application, you'll see a bunch of C references, C resumes, see this, see that. I want you to thoroughly fill the application out. What I like to do when I'm looking at a new position, I always, when they call me for an interview, I always ask them, well, do you have an will I be needed to fill out an application? Can I get the application online? Can I have it emailed to me? Is there a way I can pick up the application? I want to make sure that I fill it out thoroughly, you know, for you. They can say no. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask them that, because the last thing you want to do is have a application that's not even filled out completely. Make sure you fill out the application. That is the #1 marketing tool for you, okay? That application, it will make you stand out above everybody else, because one, is legible. Make sure you write really well. Make sure it's legible. And number 2, you're filling out everything. That's where that portfolio, again, can come in handy, because you won't miss anything, because you have your portfolio to glance back at. And you won't be able to say, oh, I don't remember that number. I don't remember what year did I put again that I worked at that job? You know, yeah. Don't forget what year you worked at the job and what year you ended. But you again can look back at your resume, look back at your references, and your portfolio will really help you do that. So standing out, those things that I just mentioned: the portfolio, LinkedIn, business cards, and filling out the application to the fullest. Those are great marketing tools that will make you stand out above everybody else. So lastly, we want to talk about, we're getting ready to wrap up, so we want to talk about presenting skills in the best light and stepping out of our comfort zones. You know, you have made it to the interview process. So, you know, you've already overcome such a huge obstacle, is just getting your foot in the door. So now it's time for you to go in there with confidence to market yourself. You're a beautiful finished product. You're going in there looking good, dressed to impress, honey, looking your best, you know, dressing for success. So you are ready to go and shine and market yourself. You have your portfolio, you have your 60-second pitch, you're ready. The #1 thing that stops people from being successful in an interview is lack of confidence. No eye contact, stumbling over their words because they're too busy overthinking, Go in there calm, cool, and collected. And that's why it's important to take the time out to really write things down first. Um, you know, you know, create that portfolio. Go in there organized and well rested and ready for an opportunity and ready to have a great meeting. Practice your 60-minute pitch. Take time when you're speaking to the interviewer and you're reciting your 60-second pitch. You know, you don't have to sound like me, like a little commercial, but make sure that you speak clear and at a moderate pace. I always have to remind myself because I can speak 1,000 words per minute, and I sometimes don't notice that I'm doing it. Also, watch out for body language of the person that you're speaking with, the interviewer, because sometimes if you're rambling on and on, you're talking too much, or you're moving off topic, you can watch from their body language. If they're off in la la land, they're not even paying attention to you anymore. Bring them back, and you get yourself collected and your thoughts collected, and you move on to the next question. Practice your pros and cons. Remember, you want to narrow down your 3 positives and your 1 negative that you're going to turn around into a positive. Don't forget to open up your portfolio. Bring your portfolio. Don't forget that. But when you bring it, make sure you open it. Even if it's to show 1 little page. Your portfolio is another marketing tool, and it's a great conversational piece as well, especially if things get a little bit quiet. Interviews can go short. Interviews can go long. But you want to leave them with a lasting impression, and a portfolio is a great tool. Having extra sheets of positive key points, your resumes, your references, anything that you feel that they may want to keep. You never know. Certifications. Make copies to be able to leave them if they ask you for it. Sometimes with my portfolio, I have a little tiny, not a tiny, but I have a thin black portfolio that I have extra resume, references, and my certifications, and my licenses. And I will put everything in that little thin folder, and I, will leave that with them when I leave. And the inside has my business cards that we talked about, and I'll leave that. And lastly, have confidence. Again, you made it. You're there. You know, have confidence. Believe in yourself. When people don't have confidence, it really shows. You stumble over your words. You don't make eye contact. It gets really quiet at the meeting, and an employer will dismiss you. Go in there with confidence because you're prepared. Get a good night's rest. Think about the questions that you're going to ask, because when you interview, you want to ask questions back, right? Think about the questions that they may ask. Practice on that. Remember your pros and your cons, your 60-second pitch, and you want to go over your portfolio. That's why it's good for you to get to your interview early. Even if you need to have time to sit in the car and kind of remind yourself, go through your portfolio. Look at yourself. You are the product. You're the product you're trying to sell yourself. Make sure everything is on point. Hair, you're well groomed, all of that. At the end of the day, you're marketing you, your beautiful self, and I have so much faith and confidence that you're going to do an amazing job at landing that second interview or even landing that position. So I hope all this stuff that we went over was useful and it was helpful, and you guys will be able to use it when you're out there doing your job seeking. And also, if you need any additional services, I have attached a little attachments with different services that are available that will help you in your job search and help you with resume building and help you with portfolio building and so forth. You guys, I can't wait to see you next week, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.